At Sleep Outfitters Outlet, great sleep is a big deal. Save 40 to 60% every day on every Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Tempur-Pedic. Queens as low as $249. Customer exchanges, closeouts, and floor samples. Inventory changes daily, so come in for your dream deal today. With no credit needed financing, expert advice, and up to 60% off retail, it's never been easier to get the sleep and savings you deserve. Go to sleepoutfittersoutlet.com for financing details and to find a store near you.
I love the quilt in the background. You changed that. It looks great.
This right here was made by Allie. Shout out. I'm going to link her down there. She made this. This is Jay Hinahan's Boo, or is that what they call Boo?
Boo thing.
Yeah, partner. And she made it. She made this by hand. She crocheted this.
Wow.
What?
I could tell. Yeah.
No
yeah,
way.
she got a pattern
That's awesome.
and she just took the logo and then they mailed it to me. So shout out Jay Hinahan. He runs the show How to Kill a Sacred Cow. And also, Allie, you are absolutely linked. So thank you for bringing her up. Anytime we can link folks, I'm all about it.
I love Jay. He had me on his podcast on my birthday last year.
Jay's a good dude.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
nice. That's great.
He just moved. So his show's kind of been on hold for a little bit. Did you know this? He just
resetting
moved.
the studio. Yeah. Can't wait till you're back, Jay.
Exactly. So thank you, Jay. When you get back, we're going to have Ford and Mike on and we'll all hang out and talk. So it's good to see y'all. Right, it really is. It's weird. This is the first time you've been on the show, but it's like a special hang. We've got, like I said, Dr. Doug Matzke.
It's been a retreat for me this weekend.
We got everybody hanging out. So
that's amazing.
Yes, sabbatical here.
Likewise,
2 days.
It just made complete sense to get this going.
It's not every day I get to pick the brain of a mad scientist. This is gonna be fun.
Hey, I'm the chief scientist. I work with a mad scientist. There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference. You know, I'm the chief scientist, not the mad scientist. So.
It's contagious, Doug. I'm sorry.
It is,
it's contagious.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. So did you have any questions for Doug? Doug, do you want to tell him what you do?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wrote the book, but I'm interested in metaphysics and computer information. So I call it source science. It's down here in the title somewhere, source science. And it's just my way of giving a label that says, look, the source of everything, including the quantum world and mind, is all in this source that we call source. And yet we don't know what it is. So there's a science behind that. And it's probably information centric because guess what? It's the domain of thoughts, intention, attention, and memories and emotions and meaning. And so you can't use even the term subtle energy with any of that. It doesn't make sense. I like the term prana over subtle energy, but it's all related because it's who our mind is. It's who we are, right? We would be extinct as a species, and all living things would be, if we weren't tapping into quantum mind. This is morphogenic resonance idea, right? And so and it's outside space time, and it's a resonance. So I'm trying to create the language that says, here's the way you have to think about it from a language perspective, so that we can make sense of a model that includes all this stuff, including information theory. So, based on quantum, my PhD in quantum computing, and so. Quantum computing shows, awesome. Shor's algorithm on all that stuff from 1994, shows that quantum computers are exponentially more powerful than classical computers. There's some algorithms you can only run in quantum computers, and they outrun any classical computer for those algorithms, right? So it shows us that quantum computers are so more powerful. So what if our mind was a quantum computer? And that means that we're savants. And it's built on this notion of a model of a hyperdimensional space, which is what's built the source of quantum mechanics too. And that was my PhD, was showing that you could create quantum computing using bits. And that was using a different kind of math called geometric algebra, which, and we even showed how you could build standard model and Higgs boson with using that math. So that's my path over the last 20 years. And I'm finding other physicists and meditators and like-minded people, and Brandon falls into that category in one of those.
Come on, somewhere in between all that. That's fine.
And so all of that good stuff. And so I think I have a unique perspective out there. I don't think a lot of other people have quite my perspective because they're bashful about talking about metaphysics. Now, I love what you guys are doing. Last night, I was 8 hours on Phi Balanced third eye. So it was my first night since I was here. I wasn't disturbing my wife, and I figured out how to use my phone in video mode for 8 hours without waking me up.
Nice.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So I'm doing lucid dreaming intention classes and logs. And so I'm trying to do that. So there's a little snippet And I'm into music. I'm sang with the chorus for 25 years with a chorus called the Vocal Majority Chorus in Dallas. And they are a 50-year chorus, and they are the 13-time international gold medal champions for the Barbershop Harmony Society. And I have 7.
Wow, nice.
And I have 7 of those. So I have an ear for music, and I've been around world-class organizations that are into music. So
are you a tenor or an alto?
Yes, I am a tenor. Yes, I am a tenor. Yeah. So one of the things we're going to try to do tonight is teach these guys a tag where all 4 of us sing a different note. And behind when I leave the world behind. It's the only tag I know all 4 parts, so that's why.
If you sing anymore, we're going to pay for copyright.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, are we on right now?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're just kind of rolling out.
Yeah,
we're talking.
That's
yeah.
Cool.
This is it. We're in it.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So anyhow, I love what you guys are doing. I have somewhat questions because I know, tempered scale versus untempered scale. We sing the untempered scale in barbershop, so we get the chords to ring.
Right.
But I don't know exactly how that relates to what you guys are doing, and maybe you could explain the relationship between those two. But so anyhow, that's the major question I have for you guys. And of course, I've been to the Monroe Institute 3 times, so I know about binaural music beats since the 94s.
Right on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, then you were
probably. Does this guy know how to party or what?
Yeah.
I mean, at the Monroe Institute, I got so deep, I was talking to 4-leaf clovers, and they were talking back.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
So they have an accent.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did they?
Story about
Mike, who asked that? That's a great question. Is that you?
That's good.
I would say I was saying maybe I can find some 4-leaf clovers, and I was trying to look for them. And as soon as I gave up, said, "That's okay. I don't need to find you." And they basically started waving at me, said, "Here I am."
Nice.
And 5 of them in a row talked to me, and I brought them home as my souvenir for the weekend.
You killed them?
I killed them, but they volunteered.
Oh, nice.
They sacrificed themselves.
Yeah, they wanted to know that I crossed a threshold, and I got it. So,
what are your thoughts on that? They were
the
actually
lucky ones.
Yeah. What are your
go.
thoughts on that? They were trickster entities that all they needed to do is get you home, and the way to invite you like a vampire was they like, if he picks this.
The last one I found,
It's an old
I was
Irish trick,
doing
the Irish dude.
I was doing a walking meditation, walking in a field at full gait, and this 4-leaf clover said, "Here I am," and I stopped and picked it. I mean,
you
it was
didn't say it was full gait. I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I'd have known full gait, I would have been.
That's
it was a
really
walking
crazy.
meditation. So we were walking through. I was walking through a field by myself, and this is "Here I am." It's like, oh my gosh.
See, I love that kind of shit.
Yeah,
Here I
it's
am.
nuts.
Watch, here he comes.
So I'm an engineer who knows the stuff is real. Damn it.
They're like, here he comes. Watch.
Yeah,
I would totally
yeah.
get this guy to bring us home. Watch this. Bet you $20. That's outstanding.
Well,
have you ever?
Have
you ever had plants or anything like animals talk to you or anything on any level of altered state? Any level of altered reality is fine.
Yeah, when I had a cat, the cat was it always knew when I was somewhere else.
Yeah, my dogs always know. They always really know when you're tripping. They always come close, and having a conversation, no, but I always feel like I have a telepathic connection.
Yeah, I have a question about that.
We use that term all the time here.
Yeah. You guys ever heard in talks with, I think it was Terrence McKenna and Rupert Sheldrake, and Rupert was talking about this almost like a GPS signal that some animals have, like some pigeons or butterflies know where to fly. They have that
morphogenic resonance and telepathy.
Right.
And with animals, when you're driving home, you're approaching your driveway, like something pings and they're like, oh, here they are. But maybe they're hearing you, but at the same time, it's almost like
they can do it up to
like
25
GPS.
miles out.
25 miles.
Yeah, no, it's real. But speaking of metaphysics,
I can't remember who did it.
Yeah, but speaking of metaphysics,
go ahead.
how did you guys do all of what you do? I mean, is it inspired by any kind of metaphysical kind of interest in all this area? I mean, obviously mine is, but
yes,
yeah.
So I would like to hear that story too, the background story for that.
Well, you start.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mike and I have really arrived at the same place from 2 completely different direct places. We started in different places. Now, I'm extremely right brain. I'm kind of like crazy, and he's very organized and he's very methodical and very scientific. And I started getting having a very strong curiosity about the quantum world in the late 90s. I'm a huge fan of David Deutsch. And so I've read all of his books. I'm sure you're familiar with his stuff. And that stuff fascinated me. And it ended up waking me up to some degree without having any psychedelics at all.
Oh, okay.
And then I had psychedelics, and I'd already written this book where I had this kind of conceptualized, I was becoming God. It wasn't the full form that it is in now. It was like about 150 pages or so. But I had already had a pretty good idea that nothing was real. You know, everything was basically as real as you want it to be, you know?
Simulation.
And yeah, well, not necessarily. You know, when you say simulation, people automatically think machine. I don't think it's a machine.
No,
I think it's just a simulation. Yeah, it's just a simulation. But, you know, long story short, I took some psychedelics after somebody had read my book and recommended me to take psychedelics. And
finished the journey.
Man, I just went down the rabbit hole after that. Yeah, and then I just got this. That was back in 2005. I experienced an ego death. I didn't know it was called ego death then because I didn't know anything about that stuff. But that set me off on the journey of studying Zen and Hermeticism and all that fun stuff, alchemy. And then I was like, then I met him along the way. He was a big tripper, and he was also in alchemy and hermetics.
Right. Yeah. And my story starts a lot earlier than when we met too. Is I kind of I was always interested in science and some philosophy, but I was raised in a very strict Christian home. So growing up, my knowledge was very, very, very narrow. And then when I got out of high school, I started studying a lot of other stuff, all Eastern religions and some other stuff, quantum physics, and getting into a lot of stuff. And then I stumbled across a guy named Dan Winter, which I know Brandon's familiar with. And his work on the golden ratio really blew my mind. And at that time, I had some psychedelic experiences, but I had never seen anything like The Secret or anything like that. And then I had met Ford shortly after that, and Ford was a big tripper, and we just kind of connected and started talking about stuff. We were on totally other ends of the spectrum as far as our thoughts on what we were experiencing. And then there was a couple times that we actually tripped together, and I can't even remember what we watched. It was something, and it just blew my mind so much and connected so many pieces. Started throwing around ideas about tuning. I had just learned about 432 and temperament and that kind of stuff, and it interested me, but I didn't know how much it all connected. And it's taken a long time for us to get it all kind of packaged into what it is now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff from like I said, Dan Winter and a guy named Robert Grant.
And I came from a guy named Ken Wheeler. So it's interesting because the right brain, I was drawn to magnetism, and I was very fascinated with magnetism. So that's like the dual side to everything that he came to this process.
Right.
Yeah.
Super fractality and Phi was my angle.
They're like mirror images. And we're just like, wow, we're both looking at the same thing here from two opposite. Yes. Really incredible.
Well, we put a golden ratio pyramid today in that wish unit that we put out there. So.
Yeah, you guys saw that.
Nice.
Little satellite project. Audio only audience, check the show description for the video version of this show. Right here, due to how awesome production is and what a great time it is to be alive, you will be seeing pictures and probably clips. Yeah, I'll throw some clips in there. Fuck it. You'll be seeing all that. So go check the video version in the show description down there. expandingrealitypodcast.com. Go check it out. There's visual aids, and you get to see Doug in his shirt. Like, y'all need to go check the video version out.
It's a cool shirt.
It's a slick shirt.
It is.
So I only wear Hawaiian shirts. So.
Well, you're crushing it.
It's a good look.
It is.
Yeah. For a 70-year-old.
For any year-old. I'm jealous as fuck that this dude just look at this color pattern. Like So
it's fire. It's fire.
At this point, let's just kind of, I guess we just rolled into this thing. So that's how we like to do it anyway. But at this point, let's just tell everybody what's going on. We have Dr. Doug Matzke here. I'm going to, if you don't mind, ask everyone to introduce themselves, but just to kind of set this up. Dr. Doug Matzke is here in-house. He's hanging out with my wife and I for the weekend, and Sam and everybody. We're installing a Wish unit, which you just saw the satellite. And you know what? Fuck it. I'll throw one up right. Hang on. Wait. We're going to throw it up right. You say it. Here. Right there. There's another picture of it right there. Not before, not after. So perfect. Right there, those folks, pictures for y'all to check out. But I'm also going to be linking all this stuff down in the show notes. We've been installing the Wish unit, which we have one available here. And this thing is what's tucked up inside our satellite dish. So Doug, when you introduce yourself, if you don't mind, like tell us about this thing.
Yeah. Well, I sort of introduced myself a little bit already, with the PhD in quantum computing stuff. But I wrote this book and I found these other two people who are crazy about metaphysics and science like I am. And so we said, let's go do something. And Tiller had used a device similar to this in his research. He called it the intention host device. And we said, well, we can do better than that. And so we said, we're going to provide this, and autistic kids love it and everything. And it basically takes a space and raises the grade by making it entangled. And so then all the negative emotion drops out of the space. And so like if you're in a hotel room, put it on, leave for 30 minutes, come back, and the room is completely cleaned.
Wow.
Yeah. And the autistic kids love it because they're having a hard time interacting with their brain because of all the noise in the environment, both electromagnetic and spiritual and emotional that's in the world. They have a hard time connecting with their brain because a lot of those autistic kids might not be the first time they're in human form, and they don't have to interact with their brain very well. And so they're savants, but they don't interact with their brain. So this helps them connect with their brain, and then they love it. They're more peaceful. They love it. And so that's what we're doing. We started selling this technology last year with Randy Ziesness is the mad scientist who's really behind it. It's 30-year-old technology, and he's finally licensed it to us in a way to release it to the public in a safe, market-friendly, person-friendly, environmentally friendly way so that it does no harm. And you can help these people kind of raise the grade of their space and make it more
That's
coherent.
really awesome.
Yeah,
so
that's really nice.
Spaces.life. And if you haven't seen that, and I talk about it in some of my other videos on quantumdoug.com. So you can see some videos out there.
So I say it does do harm to the lizard turds that are taking over this place. Now, this thing is, I call it a chaos crusher, but you said that the wish was fun and that you're not going to go with that, which is fine. That's fine. So,
CC, the wish sounds more fun than CC.
Yeah, and that's fine. Right. So I would like to CC this thing over to Jake here. Jake Loco, hey in the house. What's up, dude?
Hey, guys. Well, first of all, I just want to say Phi Tribe is fantastic. I was just telling a quick story. It was my birthday last Friday on the 28th. And I was getting ready to go out, have some fun, and while I was waiting around, the Airbnb that I was staying at had a smart TV. So I threw on the YouTube, threw on the Phi Tribe playlist. And I just got to say, it's a great music playlist. It's a cool assortment of different genres, and they're all Phi balanced. And I love the idea of intentionally choosing that music that was like, all right, I'm getting ready. I'm going to go have fun tonight with my friends, and I'm going to be in a good mood. My vibe's going to be high. And that's how it really was, and it's fantastic. So cool to chat with you guys tonight. Loco Listens. Awesome. I'm a video editor. I am really excited to put the music in the edits, and with all the little sound bites that we consume every day, like how much of it is really Phi balanced, so it's cool to think about that. So we'll make the timeline Phi balanced.
And coherent awesome. And coherent balance too, because we're going to start. I think the Phi Tribe is going to start using coherent, one of these devices.
He wants to, awesome. He'd like to send you one of these. So this is the whole thing too. Yeah. This is on all the time. It covers 2,000 square feet. So this would cover every project that you're involved in. So now, like this show in particular, even audio only audience, if you're driving or something, don't watch the video or something like that. But we have this Wish unit. You can just take our word for it until you see the video version of this. And this thing is on this entire time. So you're actually going to feel this in the audio. Again, this is a chaos crusher. So
that's awesome.
And he wants to send you one, so that can be also a part of Phi Tribe. So it may tri-balance.
Synchronistic, synchronistic approach to what you guys are doing and what we guys are doing. I mean, we have chiropractors, meditators, healers, therapists. Everybody's using this breath work.
Really well with this as well.
Breath work, autistic families love it, and so.
It's a lot of intention on one thing,
Yes. And it's easy to use. You plug it in, you go through your attunement with it, and you go through your attunement with it.
You can line up all your chakras, so you point the light out from you.
And we had a seminar in Dallas last weekend, a healing seminar with our other co-owner, Dr. Chris went to, and we were the talk of the conference, and people were walking away with them, at the conference, and one lady called, sent a testimonial in 24 hours. He's just, this is amazing. It's magical. So, we want to get the word out. And if people are interested in metaphysics, great. then they get us. And if you're aware of auras and stuff like that, you instantly feel that it's on or not. I mean, I'm attuned enough now that when I'm testing them, I go, it's on. Yep, it's there. Turn it off. Nope, it's not there anymore. You can actually experience it because it shows up in your auric field and your hair stands on end.
So it's like just an on-off type situation. It's
and there's no programming, but
doing it. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Manny says it's your new best friend though, because it's going to tap you into your higher self and you're going to be more intuitive and less chaotic.
I have a question.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. So
you guys know Carillion photography where you can so like if you were to do like a before and after picture, like what would that look like?
Have you done that?
Yeah. We haven't done it, but
can we do that?
We want to get with HeartMath too and see what they do with the HeartMath.
Right, we're gonna do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The satellite version that we did is the mind version of it. We have the heart version of it in here. So there's different, and it's got a little heart on the video version.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and the point is that the mind version really helps the autistic kids, and the heart version helps with people who have, love problems. Not love, but I'm talking about that they're angry.
I need
and stuff like that.
I need like 3 of the. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the people who are angry and stuff, they need to open their heart, heart chakra and stuff like that. But the mind unit really helps the autistic family members, and
that's cool.
Susie talks about it on Gaia TV. The nice unit. Yeah. So if you haven't seen her latest new video that just came out a month ago, so people who have access to Gaia TV, get more information about it. But it's a new product. No other product is out there like that. I mean, all these e-smog devices out there says, oh yeah, we're canceling EMF. I'm an electrical engineer. You can't cancel EMF with more EMF. I'm sorry. But you can raise the grade of the device of the space that you're in to be more coherent and less chaotic. And that cancels the effect of the EMF on your body. And so you restore to a more homeostatic and homeostatic perspective in your body and your mind. So it's naturally healing.
I feel great.
That's really cool. So are you familiar with Dan Winter then, Doug?
I know the name, but I haven't studied
because
we'll get him on.
Yeah. All the stuff you're saying is like right in line with what he talks about. It's the same kind of
and a lot of people are EMF really oriented to all of this and trying to rationalize that it's standard classical physics, and it's not.
Right.
So, you got to cross the line and says, is this standard physics? No.
Right.
And so, the electrical engineer will look at this and going, huh, what are you doing?
Do you see where science has come? Do you see what the PhDs are doing?
The source. That's why I call it source science, because it's not classical science. In fact, there's a talk I gave to an IEEE group, an electrical engineering group, and I said, this is the new information technology. So if you want to kind of see a technical presentation that didn't have very much woo in it at all, go just watch that one, and that kind of introduces you to it. And by the way, we did a remote viewing experiment in the lecture with the engineers.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wait,
so just kind of like tiptoeing them into this is the information technology.
I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, just check out my quantumdog.com list and search for the IEEE talk in the last 9 months. So.
Can I just guess, like, the device maybe makes the remote viewing more vivid or more frequent, or
clean up the signal?
Well,
the point is, I was trying to introduce them as engineers. Kind of Mike and I are the technical guys. And from an engineering mindset, that this is information technology that's beyond the next quantum information technology, essentially. And essentially, my book is all about that. And my book is describing what information technology we're talking about. And it says we need to go and research this. If we could spend as much money on this as they do quantum computing and AI right now, it would change the world more than either of those two would.
I believe that. Yeah.
So anyhow, that's the story. So the business plan there's the business plan. I mean, it's a business story at least, right? Not a plan. And then I co-started this company with the co-founders, and that's what we're doing. We're actually doing it, not just talking about it.
Right on. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
But you guys are doing just as great things with your Phi balance music and your 432. And I still want to know how 432 is related to the normal, like the balanced music that the piano is, it's a compromise. And then the kind of singing that we do with barbershop harmony, where we sing the chords where we raise the thirds so that the chords, punch out, the overtones.
Yeah. So we use, we've used a number of different temperaments to do what we do. And it depends on the key and whatever frequency we're trying to hit, and the melodies and stuff, depending on which ones we do. Yeah. But yeah, most of the time we're not using equal temperament because obviously,
okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
But there's there's complications with that because there's really not a perfect one until like 2020. This guy Robert Grant, you're familiar with the precise temperament tuning he's got.
Oh, okay.
Okay, no, he invented he found a solution to basically the equal temperament
nice
thing.
Okay. It's like a MIDI connection device or something.
Yeah, no. It's actually most software uses like a file to do that. So we've adopted his tuning through another guy named oh gosh, I forget his name. He's a classical composer, but he's so we've used a lot of his work in combination with our synthesizers and stuff to get the tuning to be like it needs to be geometrically perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the overtones pop and stuff like that. So,
right.
I mean, I hang out with a lot of musicians, with this, that they can hear every note, they can hear every overtone. You can hear the song and they can start playing it. And then they can change the key and turn it minor. And I mean, they're just musicians like.
I wish I was that good.
Musicians. Yeah.
Musicians.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there we go.
Musicians.
Let's all say it. Musicians.
Musicians. So
while we're here, actually, if you don't mind, introduce yourself, guys, because it's your first time on your show. We're already into this thing. Please.
Yeah. So I'm Mix Mike. I am a producer and recording engineer and audio wizard over here at Phi Tribe.
Nice. And I am Ford, also a musical wizard, music producer, songwriter. I've been in the music industry for about 30 years and still trucking away at it. And now I've kind of devoted my life with Phi Tribe here to using music as a healing modality. And I think that's something that it was designed for in the beginning when we've somehow lost that,
Yeah.
And
I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Cool. I love the passion you do it with too. So.
Doug's a huge fan. We watched like 4 or 5 of his vocal majority last night on YouTube on our big TV with our sound bar, and they were crushing. Doug's back there just hammering it, dude, giving it absolutely.
I sang with him for 25 years when I was in Dallas. So
I was like,
I mean, we have 2 songs. We did. When A Million Dreams, we have 1 million views of that one out there for the vocal majority. And then there's another song when Cohen died, we did a version of his song and there was over 1 million views of that too. So
you should have called it
cool.
10 million dreams. Then, do you feel like you kind of lowered
well, it's 1 million dreams and 1 million views, we're not Phi Tribe where we have tens of millions of viewers, but we do have tens of millions of viewers. It's just not on one song,
Right.
Next one's called 1 Billion Dreams and 7 Lamborghinis.
But when Cohen did his own version of the song, the secret, what is it? The song. He had 10 million views.
Oh,
or more, so, but he wasn't even a great singer. He was in his older age, he was not the great of a singer, but he wrote the song. So
I have a question about views.
Yeah.
On the YouTube channel, there's going to be one video that has the most views out of all of them. And I'm guessing it's a sleep mix, like one of those 8-hour mixes perhaps. And, I'm curious, like if we pull it up really quick, like I know those 8-hour mixes, there's got to be a story behind each of them because they each have like a different piece of art and they're all like music. They're all like their own individual creation. And yet, they're put into the playlist and it's so cool to imagine you guys like sitting down and intentionally crafting it with everything that goes into it, all the different melodies with the droning frequency in the background, but everything that goes into it is impressive. And so I'm curious what the highest view is and, if what you guys would like to share about that one if we...
And before you go into that, shout out 120,000.
Oh,
well done,
thank you.
Congratulations.
I tried on YouTube, y'all. Subscribe.
Really quickly, too.
Not bad.
Pretty awesome.
Mine has been the soaking series. I thought it was going to be different, but that's okay. I mean, it was good. I love the soaking one, man. Honestly, that's one of the ones. This one right here. Look at that. This has been played. How many views? 10,000. 3,000 of this is me.
Yeah, that one
all the way through. By the way, plus actually, whenever I pull this up, a lot of times I will what's it called? Fuck off with this. Okay. We're just going to leave this on actually as we chat.
It's a great idea.
Okay. There we go.
So
nice.
Phi Tribe playing underneath. We have the Wish unit pulsing out. Everything's linked in the show notes. I just got I feel amazing.
Our hearts are so wide open because we've been walking around the satellite all day today. So
any chance to walk around barefoot is fantastic.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. And when y'all come out, we'll do a huge thing. Doug can come back up. He'd love the road.
How did this get the soaking series title though? I'm just curious. In the light.
I actually did this one. The soaking series was inspired kind of by my time doing contemporary Christian music. I played with some big churches back in a previous life, we'll call it, many years ago.
Previous incarnation,
yeah. Yeah, right. So I played for a lot of churches, and so they would have these big like prayer type services where people would just pray, and everything was just we would sit there and play music, but everything was improvised, and so this was kind of inspired by that and a lot of those moments, a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer, but I wanted to bring that kind of vibe into what we do, just to kind of be appealing to that crowd as well, because I mean we're trying, we'd like to be all inclusive to any kind of meditation practice or prayer practice. So that's kind of the short story about that one, but technically, that one was it's a 432 one, so it was really just trying to get people really just connected.
And then how would you kind of compare that to like the lo-fi, because that's a whole different frequency.
The lo-fi
genre, you know what I mean?
It's I know this is going to be jarring to the audience, but I'm going to just stop this and do a lo-fi while Jake's talking about it, because these are some of my I love check this out. Actually, on the soundboard, no YouTube, no YouTube. We have it right here.
Oh, nice.
So I've actually already got it queued up. Yeah. It's one of my favorites, the 741.
I love it.
Yeah. 432 and 741, and you're like changing completely different time zones here.
We use different frequencies for different purposes. Each frequency is going to connect you to either a different chakra or a different set of feelings or emotions or that kind of thing. So, each program is set for a specific purpose, like the soaking series one was a sleep one technically, but also for prayer. So, it's definitely to relax you and bring you into that kind of,
how do you know that those frequencies have that effect? That was another question.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of it is research, and a lot of it is trial and error. And what we found is that there's also, you should really check out Robert Grant's work. He'll explain this really better than me. But there's also a geometric relation between a lot of the frequency numbers, like the solfeggio tone numbers. Those numbers are actually there's special things about them and why they use them. And inadvertently, I don't even think Robert Grant knows this. Actually, it's just something I observed. Is a lot of his work is based around number patterns, and the number patterns that he talks about, which are all in things like Leonardo da Vinci's writing or his Leonardo da Vinci's paintings, as well as the Great Pyramids architecture. These numbers come up a lot, and they also happen to be solfeggio tones as well. So those things also relate and correspond. And that's kind of the other thing that we do is we're really big on fractality here. So and not just fractality in the traditional sense of repeated patterns, but also metaphysical fractality, we'll call it, or philosophical fractality, where these numbers also have meaning, and then those meanings are then echoed, in patterns and beats and art and shape and geometry.
Sure.
So it's other people's work that you're relying on about the fact that this frequency has this effect on the body.
Yeah, pretty much, because there's nothing else out there. I mean, and we don't have the ability at this time to do to fund our own studies on these kind of things. But the proof seems to be in the pudding, so to speak. Is 120,000
subscribers seems like a good study,
and it works. So
that's why I'm curious, because we use psychics to do it. So then we know his relationship.
Yeah. What are y'all thoughts on that? Getting a psychic to confirm the hertz and stuff.
I mean, because we're using our higher self and our guides to,
y'all already are
connect.
Right?
I mean, you probably are too. And that's why I was asking if you were.
What I mean is that's probably where you got your confirmation from. I mean, you've been doing this. You built a huge model, obviously 120,000 subscribers. I mean, huge. 20,000 in a month. So, I mean, y'all's growth is incredible. The feedback on our end has been insane. And we've got a lot to look forward to that. So audience, again, check the show notes for all the links. A lot going on with this. So the proof is here and it's beautiful.
I love it, but I'm just curious of your process. That's why I'm asking the question. No criticism at all intended.
No, none taken.
Get the fuck out of here.
I love you guys. I'm going to start, now that I figured out how to do it at night, I'm going to have it on every night until I start lucid dreaming regularly. So
he has a dream journal. He was writing it down. He's like
66 months already since I've been doing this.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
That's great.
Have you guys ever heard of those sleeping mask lucid dreaming devices?
I had one back when they first came out. Lucidity.
I have like flashlights when you're in REM sleep.
It never worked for me because
it never worked for me either.
It had to flash way too much for me.
Well, hang on. Maybe it's misappropriated. What if it's more for DMT trips? Have you guys tried it for that? Kind of like technically people are using them as personal massagers, but come on, you know what I mean? Maybe they're just labeled differently.
Personal massagers.
And they're water pipes, right? Absolutely.
Right. Yes, water pipes.
Yeah. So maybe it's supposed to be a lucid dreaming, but really it's a lucid dream.
Well, if we figure out a five frequencies that would really emphasize even more third eye and lucid dreams, we'll get together with you guys and have you produce it for us.
Please, get with us.
It's like
I think really it's the combination of the Phi balance mixed with these classical forms of using healing stuff. You know, like the chakras has. You know, the chakra stuff is 5,000 years old. The solfeggio stuff is over 1,100 years old, right? The old stuff, but they weren't using with the Phi balance technique, and I think that is the missing. That's the missing little ingredient.
And the hemisync and the hemisync
and the hemisync combined with all of it together. And the proof in the pudding. You know, the very first solfeggio I did in here, I was working on it all day. It was 5:28. And somebody came over to the studio after about 5 hours of me being in here, and they had 4 eyes. They had like eyes and eyes below here, and I was like, "Wow, I'm like tired." and I rubbed my eyes like this, like like okay. And then I looked again, and I still had 4 eyes, and it lasted for like a day, like a whole day, like hours. Like after I even left the studio, it was crazy. It's crazy.
Like,
so like
that's wizardry.
Weird things like that is like.
I like your caution. Do not use this while driving a vehicle in the beginning.
Yes.
Because that's the same kind of caution we have to have with our devices too. Yes.
You know, that series with the warning symbol on it, those were actually made back in 2011. I was doing a project for the University of Miami, and they were doing a project to use binaural beats to ease social anxiety, ADHD, ADD, and mild forms of autism. That was the whole point of it. And it was called they're using children, and they were having them sleep to it. And they were just basically just giving me the frequencies to use for the binaural beats. And as for the music, they were like, well, do whatever you want. And I was kind of like, well, I was just kind of getting into chakras at the moment. So and I started doing them in chakras, and they didn't know. They didn't even know what I was doing, But what was interesting is I started testing these out on myself, and I would find that I would fall asleep, like oftentimes with something in my hand, like, literally fall asleep with my iPad in my hand or with a drink in my hand or, a glass of water or spill it all over. So I thought, man, this would be important to put that warning symbol there. In case you're driving, it'd be very easy to nod off and not realize it.
Yeah, we haven't released our wish units with any batteries.
Plus, it's a great thumbnail.
Awesome thumbnail.
Let's not lie.
Warning.
It's like, this may last 7 hours.
If it says warning on it, it's the good shit.
That's more consideration I got for my first acid trip. So.
Right. No, bad.
And how do you experiment with the inverse of that? Like, let's say, it's the middle of your workday and you want to be like more alert and awake. Is there like a particular type of frequency that you find works really well for yourself personally? Like a coffee almost, but, more gentle on the old nervous system, What would you guys say?
Yeah, That's a tough one, actually. We don't have a ton of focus stuff because this stuff is really so good at relaxing people. It can go the other way, but it's a little bit more difficult to add things like binaural beats in it, because once the binaural beats get up to a certain wavelength, they become very unmusical, and it's really difficult to get them. Yeah, they just become really annoying.
Yeah.
So to some degree that, but we do have some study stuff. There is some focus stuff. I did one in the geometry series. There's a geometry focus one.
If you're going for study and focus, are you looking for above a theta?
Way above.
Beta. Beta is for highest level of retainment is beta state, and then for the focus one I did, I started with the third eye because if we're gonna excite something, let's excite the brain and the mind, pineal, right?
Or the view. So the third eye is the view, the mental view of things. So.
Yeah,
what you
and
do
the beta state helps you retain the information you're receiving, so it helps you compartmentalize that stuff better. So that's what we use the beta state for that, and it seems to be a good combination.
Anything specifically about memory boosting memories?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't done anything. We haven't done anything for that yet. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things on the hit list. So to speak,
and Alzheimer's, and you haven't done anything about Alzheimer's specific. Right?
Yeah.
PTSD.
We have more ideas than we have time to do all of it.
It's like us.
Yeah. The solfeggios have got a lot of very interesting healing components to them that are very you wouldn't think. It sounds so woo. But damn, if it doesn't work, it works, it really does.
It's not woo.
It's astrology.
It's definitely not woo to me.
Yeah. It's not woo to me, but it just sounds
No, but you're right. It sounds woo.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds it, but it's not.
And this is relationships with 639.
It sounds gimmicky, but there's a lot to the balancing. Like right now, this one is the spiritual. Damn it, I don't have my glasses on. Help me out. Yeah. Can you not hear that?
Spiritual mastery, no.
Yeah, the crown chakra. Now this one as well. I spent a lot of time with this one, guys.
Okay, now I hear it.
Right on.
And this one's powerful.
Violet. He's turning violet.
Yeah, exactly. And I sit here with this and I'm like, holy shit. So, none of this is real.
So we did a meditation last night where we did a chakra meditation that I have. And we're going to do it again tonight, and we're going to video it.
Yeah, so Doug did a really cool meditation. In fact, we should do it on here.
Yeah.
Why don't we do it on here?
Well, we can do it if that's what you want.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it at the end. Just remind me. Doug's meditation.
But it's like, I kept getting inspired by all these people who said, "Oh, let's open this chakra, and then let's open this chakra." And I said, I'm an engineer. Let's open them all. And so I did. And it's like everybody's response to that was amazing. It's like, whoa. And I think Mary and Brandon had a sample of it last night, and they're going, wow, it's amazing. So
I think they're all open automatically. It's just a matter of tuning. They get out of balance. You can have one that's a little bit too open, and some that are a little too closed, and that mix match is what causes this imbalance. And if you can get that balance going, it's like tuning a guitar.
Well, I see it as an electrical circuit, and if the energy is flowing down the spine, down the spinal cord, that if any of the chakras are closed, then the energy can't flow. It's like a pipe that has one of them closed off. So if you open them all of a sudden they all can flow. So now you're getting a boost of prana like you would if you were in an extensive breathwork class or something like that. And so, and you don't have to, you can do it in 10 minutes rather than, in an hour for a breathwork class. Both I love, by the way, and I recommend both of those. So I give you an example. That was my rationale for doing it. And then when I tried it with people, they go, whoa, this one guy said, I've been doing this stuff for 20 years and I've never experienced anything like that. So it's like, okay.
That's awesome. That's crazy.
So this is an electrical engineer's mind using circuit thought patterns to look at the human chakra system.
Yeah,
that's
this is years of being a musician and getting the pulse of a crowd and understanding what makes them move and what makes them excited, and I tap into that a lot.
Yeah, I hear you.
Same.
And I think we're both tapping into the same thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of crowds,
it's how do you build the energy in the person, and get the crowd energy going,
Yeah.
So, our director for our course, he's the executive director he's director of the course, but he also works for MJ Studios, TM Studios in Dallas. Yeah. And they're a big music house here in Dallas, you know, they commercial work and stuff like that. So his ear is fantastic. He does all our mixing and stuff for all of our CDs out there, you know. And so I'm used to being around world-class people like you for 25 years. Okay. Awesome. And so I appreciate what you do and the ear that you have and the professionalism that you have. And because I've been experiencing it as well. So
thank you.
So if you haven't, so I come from it with a well-educated mind about all this.
Yeah, well,
clearly you're a quantum physicist.
Quantum physicist who likes music.
He got $1 million grant to work on the AI program for Texas Instruments.
I mean, it's not rocket science, but
it's sure is close. Yeah.
Well, I had one of those on. See that clip? Will you grab that ring up there? Check this out. I had one of those on my second and third episode of this. I had an actual rocket scientist on. This allegedly was on the ISS and flew around on the International Space Station.
Nice.
And I've got a pin. He sent me all kinds of stuff. He worked on the Columbia disaster after that.
Wow.
And is when he got hired on in like 96. So it's like, good timing guy, right? And so,
awesome.
he got hired on in like 87, like 80, 86, 89, something like, anyway, he's fucking fascinating. So we do have rocket scientists. So I want to ask you about, Ford, do you mind? I've been dying for you to say this theory on this show for the audience. We did the live, which I'm going to link the live for you guys, all Phi Tribe stuff down. But if you don't mind, the theory about the pyramids.
Arcades.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So good.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I was just this is really just high talk, you know. I was just
my favorite.
Well, you're in luck.
I live in a very non-dual state, so let me just preface that I'm a very big subscriber of Zen and non-duality. So for me, time is very different than it is for most people. Time is today. That's it. You know, and
in the know,
it's easy for me to be that way because I work at home. I don't have to deal with the world, you know. So it's like that. So getting back to the theory was that. The Kali Yuga is this big long cycle that we go through. And what if the pyramids, they weren't built by anybody. They are always there. And they serve as a marker every time we complete the circle of the Kali Yuga. So like the pyramids are let's call that new, you know, that was built to the top. We go around the Kali Yuga, all these thousands of years, learn all these hard lessons. The pyramids deteriorate. We're like, what the hell are those things for? Who did that? How did we do this? And then as we come through into the golden age, we learn all these amazing things. And we're like, oh, that's what the pyramids are for. We restore them to their former glory. And as soon as we reform them to their former glory again, there's a catastrophe that starts it all over again. That's the cycle
of civilization.
The life cycle.
Do you guys think that kind of explains why there's pyramids underwater? Like, you know, we could see like thousands of eons going through, and then, you know, this old civilization was here, but now it's just the bottom of the ocean. And I'm sure that brings up a lot of you know, ancient cities that start with an A that you can all
sure.
I'm totally into that.
People told me I've been from Atlantis, so from Atlantis.
You're from Atlantis?
Yeah,
you got the Hawaiian shirt, you know, so why not?
Dead giveaway.
Well, the newest thinking is that Atlantis is actually over in that crater in
Africa.
Africa. Yeah.
It has all the geographic descriptions that match up from the. But,
what do you think about that? Like that the people, we finally get to that point, we put the capstone on, and then it causes this huge collapse of society. The bricks are scattered everywhere. The capstone is shot off into whatever. And then people's like dive into this thing. Now, then you ask yourself, is it a natural progressive cycle, or is it because they complete it? Like the ignorance to think that they could yield that power in that way and then cap it. So is it sort of more like an IQ test?
Well, remember, we talked about this a couple times already this weekend, but
I've talked about it a lot.
We're all aliens.
Yeah.
Sure.
And aliens and angels are the same thing. They're advanced technological and emotional and intellectual beings, and they're non-physical beings. And so we're all that having a human experience. So any mystical tradition you do, from any history, any perspective, and anybody, especially who's done, you know, hypnosis or tapping into the unconscious and stuff like that. That's a continuous theme over and over and over again. So I'm staying with that theme. And so, you know, we're infinite. We're spiritual beings. We never die. And we're just going through this life lessons over and over again till we get it right. And as a society, we also are doing the same thing. So I'm just wishing that when the new earth hits, that anybody who doesn't learn lessons doesn't pass, and everybody who does ascends. And therefore, new earth doesn't have all these crazy people in it anymore. So there, in a nutshell, theorem according to Doug Matzke.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I enjoy that.
It's much more positive than
well, what's cool
than the fact that we're all going to have to die again.
Well, it doesn't negate nor rule out either.
Yeah,
now, it could be that that's absolutely the truth. And in this plane called Earth, where us as spiritual beings come down into human vehicles, and we sit there and say, "Oh, cool!" But to do this experience, we go through that river of amnesia called your mom's vagina, and when you're born here, you just fucking forget everything. And it seems like this is sort of a game, and that yes, we're spiritual beings, but that there's like a pyramid here.
Did you say your mom's vagitas?
I said your mom's
vagitas. Vagitas.
Yeah, it was not in the script. Everyone's come through one, I believe. And so you have that, but then it's cyclical in the way that like there's
so maybe there's some people,
yeah, like there's a realm here.
Hey, I'm gonna ascend. Okay, so I'm going for that.
Yeah. What if you get the opportunity to live a way better life if you stay behind for the rest of this one to help?
We'll see.
Cool question.
Well, because then you ask yourself,
it's an interesting proposition. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Well, because then it could be like your clovers, and they could be tricking you.
I hang out with a bunch of I hang out with a bunch of spiritual people, who are all more telepathic, more remote viewing abilities, more empathetic, more tapping into the soul consciousness of each of us than I am. And I'm just an engineer who's just bumping up against it with my intuition, right? And so I know that all this stuff is real, and you can't explain any of it using any kind of classical worldview. So I believe that there is an infinite intelligence out there. And I talk about it in my book. It's like, can we have infinite intelligence? What does that mean? I try to quantify it, you know. Is an infinite intelligence? Is Abraham IQ 1,000, 10,000? You know, how do you quantify something that is so smart that it's like compared to us and an ant? You know, how do you quantify that? You know, so
you can.
Yeah. So it's hard to quantify it, and it's hard for somebody else to realize what you're saying quantification wise. You know, it's like a quantum computer state. If you have 300 qubits and you superposition them, 2 to the 300th is bigger than the number of known molecules in the universe. So a 300-bit quantum computer, which we can't build yet, is smarter than if you used every physical molecule in the universe as part of a big computer. So we have a hard time imagining the infinities involved here. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's part of the discussion, you know, in the book is like, we got to get our head around that there's things so much bigger than any of us realize in the mortal world. And, you know, and God is much more an infinity than we can even imagine as an infinity, if there is such a thing. Right. Yeah. And so we until we can get our head around that, yes, we're infinitesimal by that standard, but yet we're important. And that kind of balance is the thing that keeps your ego at bay and makes you want to be a better person. So, which is what you guys are doing. You guys are doing great stuff. I mean, you're trying to help people, and we're trying to help people, and he's trying to help people. And these two are Mary and Jake.
We're playing the game, you know. We're here to play a game.
I love it. I love it. We're playing what you guys are doing. Yeah. I'm glad we got to talk tonight too.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Same. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get. Where can I find your book? Where can I find your book?
Yeah,
we'll get you a signed copy sent. Doug would be honored to send you a couple of signed copies, and I believe you have a wish unit coming, so we'll probably all get all that done at once.
Oh, awesome.
Ford, he already has both copies of your books. Now, guys. Check the books out. He's holding the other Becoming God. If you want to hold that up, Doug, thank you.
Yikes.
My lovely assistant here.
Yeah, I just got them, so I haven't read them yet.
So these as well.
Can you do the Price is Right thing where you like kind of like go,
I've got a cat in the other end, but Doug can do it for both.
Now behind curtain number 1.
Better, Doug. That's better, Doug.
And now behind book number 2.
Love it. So
from Brohill,
you guys are interested. Doug's book linked in the show notes. Reach out as well for Ford stuff. So
deeprealitybook.com is my book site, but it's on Amazon. So.
Outstanding. And we'll get you guys, of course, signed copies sent, of course, through Doug. Yes. Well, I wanted to just kind of go around here before we cap, and we'll probably call it in a minute here. You know,
we don't need to. We'll do the meditation separate some other time.
How about this? What we'll do is let's do this. We're going to stick around. We're going to do the meditation, but go sign up to become an Expansive Insider to do it. We're going to leave that over there on the Expansive Insider stuff as a separate thing, all its own. So guys, go sign up. Links down in the show notes. It's a great way to support the show, as well as we're doing live hangs with the likes of Doug, Ford, Mike, everybody hanging out. Mary's usually part of this. Mary's here. Do you want to say hi?
Hello.
Mary's chilling.
Mary, there's that voice. I hear it.
Oh, she has a great voice.
So let's cap it up with one of the craziest, most wild, like trip you out theories you can think of for this reality. And we'll just ponder on it, right? Of course, you don't have to like stake your PhD
and there's no right one.
You can have fun.
There's no right one. There's no wrong one.
We're all dolls inhabiting like possession dolls. And this is like so there's all sorts of things. So let's talk about that. But everything else linked down in the show notes. And again, guys, sign up to become an Expansive Insider. Doug, great way to support the show, right?
Yeah.
Along with t-shirts, we got new t-shirts and shit. Not this one. Doug's going to design a t-shirt for us. We've got a few Dougisms that we've got.
I mean, I've been looking for good shirts for years and years and years, and I can tell you all my secret places.
All right. But that'll
I can't
be the
tell if it's a Hawaiian
Insider.
shirt or a Pompeii shirt. It's one of the two.
It's Hawaiian.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah. It leaves you in mystery, and that's part of it.
Yeah, it's a fresh shirt. I just put it on for the show. So
love it. So yes, check the show notes for all that stuff, guys, and thank you in advance for doing that, Doug. So let's go around. Let's just the craziest fucking thing you can think of. Doug, Jake, do you want to start us off, dude?
Yeah, I had an interesting day. I was talking to my class about Lost, the TV show Lost.
Oh, I love that show.
Below the island, there's a hatch.
yeah,
And inside of that hatch is a quantum computer that's tapping into the core and the heart of the island.
yeah.
And I'm just thinking about it now as a crazy theory. As a part of the show, they dropped a nuclear bomb into that well of energy, and it like diverted and split and created a whole alternate universe, or it opened up the multiverse, something that's developing in the Marvel movies. So they're presenting this idea of a portal opening, or like CERN or something like that. But it's been cool. Lost was just discussed in my classroom today. I'm a teacher, and I brought up just presenting the idea of the TV show. And now I'm thinking, cool theory about reality, which was what the question was posed earlier, I believe. If the island held this core of the quantum energy, then perhaps that's what ley lines are. And when people are gathering in certain areas, they're really tapping into those ley lines. And I think the ley lines, this is the main point, the ley lines are what feed our dreams.
Damn. The ley lines feature dreams.
Gaia is intelligence. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. I was thinking about that on the drive here. So yeah, thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah,
Appreciate you
dude.
guys.
Thank you for sharing it. Now
My whole impression of you changed.
Getting better. Just wait. He slipped you an edible earlier. Mike, what's one of yours, dude?
Oh man, I've been trying to think of one. A crazy one. Let me think. So, man, I don't know. You might have to come back to me.
Or about aliens, or like platypuses are weird, right?
Yeah,
Ford, I know you got one queued up.
Me?
Mushrooms can grow. It's good.
You know, where I live is in the weirdest conspiracy of them all. That's where I am, and that's what Zen is. And it's a place of realizing that there isn't a history, there isn't a tomorrow, there was never anything in the past. It's only happening now, like a dream. It's no different than a dream when we go to sleep. As a matter of fact, when I got up this morning and my feet hit the floor, I just went from one dream to the next dream. That there isn't an actual earth, there isn't an actual anything. There's just these momentary dream states that we go into, and the detail is as rich as we decide to look for them. So wherever we look for the details to reinforce the dream, we're creating the detail to enforce the dream and make it more real. That there isn't an out. There is no out. There is no out.
Are you a lucid dreamer? Are you a lucid dreamer?
I have, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a lucid dreamer, but yeah, I've lucid dreamed.
Okay, so you understand what lucid dreams are, and great.
Yes,
that supports your argument. That's why I was asking.
I've had very, very visceral experiences lucid dreaming, like tactile, smelling things. I mean, just holy cow, like very, very, very much going, wow. There's no way I can really, this is just as real as reality.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And it's like those people
it's scary. That's a scary idea on the surface.
You come from it
really
from well understood. You understand, you've studied enough that somebody should trust what you're saying is true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a scary thing to think about for a minute because it makes you kind of go, who the hell am I? And what is the purpose of anything? But, if you just dream forever, how freeing is that? Right? Well, that's a very freeing thought.
Yeah, but then you ask then though, but is there an end to it? Is there a wake up? Like why are you dreaming so much? Like, is there another side to this? What are you escaping? Is it a prison? Like, are you in some sort of dream prison? To where because it's just a constant dream, it's like, what's real? I
think it's about refinement. So the Buddhists always talk about, you're going to keep living your same life until you get it perfect, right? Yeah. I think what they mean is your life is always your dream state is always going to be very metaphorically reflective of the same thing, always until you change it within you.
Yeah, become more complex state. Yeah.
And it's refinement. So we're all talking about balance here. This is all about balance, right? And it's a refinement of balance. And who's to say that when you get that balance completely perfect, that's the still point. And that is an infinite, eternal state, that complete, absolute stillness. And maybe this is the place that the archetypes of Christ and Buddha and others have talked about. That's why they can walk on water. That's why flowers grow beneath their feet. And that in their dream. And that in that dream.
Yeah, very well said.
That's what's interesting though, is they're having the dream, but the dream is someone else is there to witness the flowers that grew, and that they understand that it's different because they don't have flowers growing where they walk. So it's an interesting thing. Like, it's a dream within a dream that you're sharing with other people who can also dream, but you're the one showing them that it's a dream by just doing cool shit that they thought was impossible. This is why I like stuff like this, like these conversations, because this is what it does. It expands our balloon. It opens our balloon and fills it with awareness. So we have a higher capacity to envision what's possible.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been talking about, is limitation a lot this weekend. Is like, what's limiting? And we're throwing out models of the universe and stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, but that was told to, because tell me, like, you're just something about the sun, something about the universe. Just go ahead and I'll tell you how I hear it.
About the sun?
Yeah. Well, just about anything about the universe, like about, just a fun fact.
Well, yeah. I mean, I believe the universe is a simulation, but happens to be running on a bit quantum simulator that's bigger than the universe. So.
Yeah, but what about something about being on a round Earth with a sun?
Oh, okay.
Give me one of those. Just anything that anyone where you're like, but the argument is because of this mechanic, this is why we think this way.
We were discussing about whether flat Earth is real and whether we've been to the moon or not, And
moon, that's a great one. Right, so what about the moon?
That was a great one.
Yeah,
let's do the moon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of conspiracies about the moon. So it was artificially created by something and it's hollow and all of this good stuff, right? And so how do you support that? Well, the people I hang out with are remote viewers, and they say there really are aliens living on the other side of the moon. So, and they're not nice, so, okay. So if you have a remote viewer with your group, it's like, maybe you can check on things that you normally couldn't check on, Yeah. So I'm changing my way of looking at the world about how I corroborate my models with the world by people who can actually check them out, and it's rocking my world.
And does the remote viewer create the evil aliens by looking for the detail to justify the experience of the dark side of the moon?
Yeah, excellent question.
Well, I know multiple world-class remote viewers. Okay.
I'm not doubting them.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
And so
as a question.
Yeah, and so this idea has come up with both remote viewers that I know. So.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answered. And that was an example of what you were looking for.
It was a fine example, because then you say, okay, well, what we're limited to then is our conception. Then I would ask, is
our models, we're limited by our models, Wittgenstein, right? We're limited by our models. And I'm trying to say, is there a meta model that is more inclusive rather than, polarity driven,
Yeah.
And that's I think we're all trying to do, is says, we can have models that are more inclusive and more whole and more unity. And that's what I'm trying to do with my work, is working on the models. As an engineer, what else am I going to do? Computer science engineer, what else am I going to do? I'm not going to go into a cave and meditate for 20 years. I'm going to do something that engineers can do, right?
So what about the moon? What makes you feel that we went?
Oh, because back in 1997 or 1969, they have no computer technology. They had no MP3 files for video. They had no computer technology that could process at that rate. I know because in the 90s, we were building custom chips to do MPEG processing because it was so computationally intensive. This was in the 90s. They didn't have any of that stuff in the 60s. In fact, the only integrated circuit computer ever that was built was for the moon lander because they needed it small and lightweight and low power to put it in the moon lander. They didn't have class F computers back then. So when they say, "Oh, we faked the moon landing back in 60," no.
I hate
now a high school student could do it now with ChatGPT. Give me a video of a moon landing now,
for sure.
But they'll give a fake moon landing. They'll just replay the same one.
No, they would create a brand new one, and it would be unique, and it would even have the aliens watching us in the background and everything.
AI version.
See, but this is.
But back in 1967 and 68 and 69. They had to work their asses off to make that happen, and they didn't have the computer technology. Yeah, they couldn't have simulated it. They couldn't have simulated it. Okay, they couldn't have. Did they have the computer technology?
Not with computers. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they do it in a flood sink in a tank? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Are they faking?
Being in space now?
It's in space now. Yes, because they're finding bubbles and things that are screen. But
we definitely went to the moon though.
Oh, definitely they knew. And you know why we know it?
Yeah.
Because the Russians reported.
You really do think so?
Right.
Because the Russians reported it.
Well, okay, but then here's one. Then if we didn't go, why is there a retroreflector on the moon that we use to calibrate our
distance to the moon?
Yeah, right. We use it all the time.
Let me go where I'm at. Let me go where I go with Doug on this. So you're saying that we are told that there is a reflector on the moon that we're used to calibrate within a system.
And Big Bang Theory showed you could do it itself.
Yeah,
from
I've literally seen
you flew up there and kissed it.
No.
You can set up a laser and bounce it off there and measure.
Bounce it off.
Well, that's nice.
You can do it.
You can test it yourself.
And nothing else but a retroreflector would do that. Nothing else but a retroreflector could do that. You couldn't do that with a mirror. You couldn't do that. I mean, you would have to be perfectly flat for it to hit a mirror and come straight back, but a retroreflector will always send it right back.
So what happened?
We put something up there. We went there and put it.
My great uncle Jim was the lead designer for the lander. The moon lander. He was the chief designer for that. So I grew up in my family of that was a very big deal.
And it was a very big deal.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it, Ford?
And he has a Lego model of the lunar lander here. And I'm saying, why did you do that if you don't believe it?
I said it's live.
I actually have upstairs. I can get it and show you. I have the actual guidance system from the lunar lander that was used during the Apollo 11 mission.
Oh, I'm so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And how did he get it? It was like a prototype or something, or the one that came back.
The one that came back, they gave it to him. Yeah.
Wow, because he was like part of the design. So like I said, that lunar lander was very special from the computer technology they used, and they still had to manually land it the last 100 feet because it overloaded the computer, the landing, the guidance computer. So
yeah, it's interesting. It's very fascinating.
I'm interested in the history of technology and especially computers, and so I'm aware of all that stuff. Yes,
sure,
very cool.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a more interesting dream to say that they went to the moon and something scared the shit out of them. They've been back since.
Yeah,
that's a way cooler dream.
So is it my turn to talk about my far out ideas?
Hang on, we're not done with the moon yet. So, all right,
it's related to the moon though.
We don't have time to go into what I think about the moon, but what I will say is that it's not everyone that knows what's really going on, and that there was the biggest push for the Saturn V's, built by Nazi, by the way, Saturn V's to be out and rolled out. That they utilized over 100,000 different subcontractors for that thing for the psychological operation that was the Apollo missions, in my opinion. But what I will say about that is it was all headed up by a Nazi. You had Walt Disney involved, and then you had L. Ron Hubbard as well. So you had all these, and then Jack Parsons, of course.
And Jack Parsons.
So you have these guys that are doing this shit. They're doing it ritualistically. Tons of numerology involved in this. Again, we don't have time. But what I will say to this, yes, master magician. So if we all know that, then all of the things that we're proud to say that we're aware of as an exercise, how much of that were you told, and therefore you're told that's what is going on. Now, in the same sense, in the double slit experiment, it looked like a wave and particles, right? But only when it was observed. So if you're told there's a little shiny reflector up there, perhaps you anthropomorphize one for which you can bounce a laser off. Now, what I will say is, to this thing about the subcontractor thing, they spread this out as a massive misinformation campaign because folks, exactly to what you're saying, Ford. I had when we had our NASA guy on, he was talking about this. He was like, yeah, and they did so many subcontracts out because everyone was so proud. My grandfather made the rivets, and look, I have a rivet, and look, this flew on the fucking ISS allegedly. But what I'm saying is, there are so many things about the Apollo story, just like some recent psyops is how I view them, opportunities for adventure, if you want to call it that, psychological adventure. And within those, there are all sorts of interesting sub-levels to them as well. And so I found that it's sort of a Matryoshka doll of conspiracy, if you will. So within, let's say, the Apollo missions, let's say, okay, well, we had this idea, we wanted to go, so they either faked the shit out of it or we went. Now that splinters off, because if we went, and like you said, Ford, there is a NASA transcript allegedly of Neil Armstrong saying they're here, they're on the crater, they're massive, and they're watching us whenever they landed, right? Which would allude to that, number one, they made it
channel.
On the medical channel, right? So number one, it would allude to that they went, but number two, it would allude to that there's something else to explore there, okay? Now, within the Apollo missions as well, you have Apollo allegedly 17, 18, and 19, or 19, 18, 19,
that was
and 20.
where I was going with my
So there are
story.
3 alleged secret NASA missions that you can look into for the Apollo program, right? Which then found, one of them found a large Oumuamua type UFO, rock type UFO that was embedded. There was then a woman with these eyelid things pulled out.
Yeah, I've seen that video.
Okay.
I've shown
That was, I want to say Apollo 20, right? Yes, and it was one of the secret
like
Apollo missions that went to the moon and went to the craters and saw, to follow up on what Neil said. Now, again, this all supposes that we went and that there was doper shit to experience beyond what we said. Now, what if all of the little Matryoshka doll elements, the extra things, are for folks like us to sit here and go, hang on, this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. Oh, but wait, there's some extra thing. And so they'll run to that and say, but what if what they really went? Okay, so hear me out. They went, but there's a bunch of dope shit, so they can't tell you. So obviously the thing they showed was faked, which now it answers that. But my question to this is what if it just Matryoshka dolls out because the moon's not a place you can go? And so there's constant sub things that constantly tell you it's hollow. There's Nazis on the back of it. A secret space program. But what it all is a smokescreen. But it's just to keep constantly reinforcing the idea that it's a place that's real and that you can go there. This is what I'm saying. And then you have things like Crow with him filming that lunar wave across the refresh, across the fucking moon surface. Have you guys seen this?
Oh yeah, I've seen the videos.
The lunar wave.
And looks like a by the way, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. The name of the book is The Devil's in the Details.
Yeah.
Right.
So just apply that to this, right?
Yes.
It's exactly what you're saying, right? You know, they're giving us the details to present the belief.
Yeah. So
I'm saying there's a lot of
can I give you my?
I do want to hear yours. All I'm saying is,
are you finished yet?
has been a fun exploration.
We've been having a lot of discussion about discernment.
Yes, we have. We absolutely have. Okay, so please, Dr. Doug.
Okay, so yeah, I believe that we went to the moon, no doubt about that, and we bought back moon rocks and we got them. And but I also believe that there are aliens on the moon, and they didn't want to go back for 50 years because there's aliens on the moon, and they weren't ready to tell anybody about that yet. So there are aliens out there. Most of them are non-physical, and sometimes they show up in the physical. And we know that because we have collective consciousness, group consciousness, things that we would call, I would call them aliens. I mean, what do you call your spirit guides? You know, and yeah. I have specific names for some of my group consciousness, stuff as well. I don't have them memorized, but I have them in my phone. And
on speed dial.
Yeah. And so my point is that there are aliens out there. Most of them are non-physical, but they're not going to go back to the moon if they think that there's evidence that there's aliens out there. So they're pushing this off as long as they can. And guess what? All the directors in Hollywood have been being fed all this intuitive information about making all these, alien videos for the lesson Star Wars, right? And before. And so they're trying to get us accustomed to having aliens around, because if we're phobic about the color of your skin, imagine a phobic if we have a, reptile or a insect being show up in front, at the White House lawn. So, I've been to the Monroe Institute, and one of the places you go to in the Monroe Institute is Focus 35. And Focus 35 is called The Gathering. And you can look on the line for The Gathering from Monroe Institute, and they basically are all these aliens watching the Earth like it would be at a football stadium. And you can go there. And I have several people, 3 or 4 people, or I know, who have been to Focus 35 at the Monroe Institute. And they went there. And one guy said the alien started talking to him, and it looked like an intelligent tomato. And the intelligent tomato said, we didn't expect humans to be here yet.
What's a dumb tomato look like?
Yeah. Well, it's intelligent tomato because it was telepathically talking with him. Yeah. So. And he says,
giveaway.
And so, and then he says, well, why are you a tomato? And he says, well, if I showed you what I really look like, it would frighten you. So I gave a safe image for you. So they're watching the Earth be born to the next level, and they're watching it like a football game. And so it's called The Gathering. Another friend of mine went there, and the intelligent tomato wasn't there. Instead, it was the giant intelligent cockroach, and it scared the shit out of her. And so, that's
how giant.
Yeah, and I'm talking about,
because people say, "Oh, that's a giant cockroach that's like this big." I'm like, that one on the ISS.
No, it would be human-sized cockroach.
Oh,
yeah, and reptiles, and it's because these aliens don't necessarily show up in human form in this mental domain, right? They show up in their native form, whatever that is. And so I think that humans aren't ready for the fact that aliens don't come in humanoid species form. And so that's, if we can't even stand the color of their skin or how they dress, then how can we expect them to accept, alien life forms that are completely foreign to us?
Yeah.
So there's my.
I subscribe to that. I like that.
And go to Monroe Institute and go to Focus 35 and find out for yourself. Don't believe me. So
it's the name of the episode, by the way.
Gray Alien. Ed Hardy is way out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he needs to take some fashion advice from this guy. Mike, did you conjure one, dude?
Yeah, I mean, other than just the basic simulation theory, I mean, that's one I'm really, really into. But
what do you say about that?
I like how we're just referring it to as this basic.
Yeah, but I want to understand what you mean by that, because I have a specific.
Okay, right. No, I don't consider it a simulation like computer simulation. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's literally a video game. I would refer to it more as like a spiritual simulation. But
I call it bit physics. Yeah,
bit physics. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that
because it's in your universe. It's so big it even supports quantum mechanics.
Right.
So it supports the physical world and everything in it, and
sure.
mental in the universe too. So.
No, but I think that what's the most interesting, or the part that's most mind blowing to me, is that consciousness affects the environment, and it's like a loop. There's a feedback loop occurring, like in fractal mathematics, where the output goes back into the input. And as long as you're putting out this output, it's going to keep giving you back this input.
Yeah.
And that's a very foreign thought to a lot of people, but it's a very fun exercise to do in, this simulation here, or reality.
I call out the human consciousness the source code of the source science that is the simulation that runs the universe. So that way we are the code. We can write whatever we want.
You are the coder
quantum,
and the avatar.
Yeah, we are the quantum field theory. We can manipulate the quantum field theory directly because we're like the operating system and source code we tap into the source code, the same source code that the universe is running on. So we can do anything. We're gods. We're gods.
Yeah, I agree. And to talk about Brandon, referring to Nazis picking days and times and all that stuff, it's funny because that's sympathetic resonance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's leveraging sympathetic resonance.
Sympathetic resonance, isn't it?
Well,
if you do it on the same day, like what they do with the pagan holidays.
That's like saying, it's like, the Force is evil because Siths use the Force in Star Wars. No,
it's just a tool.
It's the Force. It's the Force.
It's the Force. You can use it for good or evil. Yeah.
Right. It's how it's being used. And so, that's it's leveraging that sympathetic resonance force in a different way, and that's kind of what we do. We leverage that sympathetic resonance too, like to the nth degree, fractality, as far as we can fractal it out. But that's the magic right there.
Yeah,
that's the magic.
So thanks for sharing that on the simulation.
No, I dig it, and I don't see it as even a bad thing. Like when everybody, and I've really changed the way that I look at like Masons and secret societies, all that. I don't see a bad guy, and so when I went through this, there is no bad guy. I really reevaluated everything. So with the 33, I'm sitting here going, well, 33 is like your spine. That's Jesus. That's ascension. There's so many more awesome things wrapped up in some guys with robes going, oh, 33 because we're killing people. It's like, well, then they're, in my mind, then it's still part of the same code. It still has the same resonance of 33. So it's sort of a wink, wink. Hey, this is all for ascension. So as like that whole thing about the governors, every governor that came out during the C word, whenever that, we'll put this on YouTube. Then whenever that came out, they were all, there was a collaboration of a lot of the major ones, all the ones that wanted to be on news.
Right.
33 cases. Hey, we have 33 cases. We have 33 cases. Now, at first, of course, I was like, fucking Masonic. They're going, it's going tits off. I shot for guns for like the first 2 weeks. I didn't get into it. But what I'm saying is I was like, oh, wait, hang on. What am I doing? This is stupid. And then I just shook myself out of myself and was like, got it. There's no back.
Yeah. Don't fall for the fear stories. Right.
Right. Just for half a second, but it was fun.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, oh yeah, duh.
It's fear mongering. Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
But again, it sort of feels like it's directly related. It's sort of it's an impact. It's massive. It's meant to make a shakeup. But again, with the same resonance of frequency of waking us up, of ascension, of 33, of like, it's for us, you know? So that's just how I looked at it. And
you really need to read Robert Grant's book, Philomath. You gotta read it, man.
I'm all about Robert Grant. I just need to get his book.
It's so good.
Yep,
it's so good. But yeah, he basically talks about that, like the philosophical implications of number patterns, and how that these same number patterns show up all the time, and that magic is just another level, or like the things that you're talking about are just another level of these repeating patterns. Or just, if you do these actions at these times, it's the same thing as this number pattern.
It's a ritualization using numbers.
Right. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But how cool is it? So it feels like now, like this time with this music, with Phi Tribe, with Doug, with everything, because it feels like something clicked on, like something switched. Because now we've got Phi Tribe, we've got Wish Units, we've got books, we've got Jake in-house. We got all this stuff going off to the point where it seems that, I mean, it's a time-based thing, and I know you all feel this too. And it's silly as it's falling out of my face. It's just so cool that it's all happening right now, and it's all kicking off.
Yeah, it's all.
I love it. What an awesome time to be alive.
Yeah.
What if this is singularity unfolding right now, and we're experiencing the echo of it beforehand and posthand? Like we're getting this pre-singularity echo that's leading up to the singularity. But what we call singularity, we're calling it technological singularity, but it's really just singularity. It is the singularity of Jarvis, of what we're saying, the Jarvis singularity is the same thing that each one of us is experiencing as a spiritual experience. Yeah. We're all experiencing it. It's because it's all one thing.
Are you talking about singularity as in computer singularity, where the computers are smarter than us, or are we talking about human singularity, where we all are awakening?
You're dissecting singularity.
Okay, I didn't know.
Singularity. It's all one thing. They're all mirrors of one thing.
Okay.
This gnosis of the present moment, of the now.
Amen.
I've learned a lot from listening to you tonight. So
God, this is
awesome.
Yeah, you know what? And same things here. We'll actually wrap it. Did you want to do one? Did you want to do something crazy you think is awesome?
Well, what you were talking about earlier today actually kind of freaked me out.
The fucking bubble?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say this too.
So we can see you, Mary. Like, move over so we can see you.
I can't. My mic won't go any further.
Okay. She's
But you'll probably explain it better. But I have been thinking about that since you talked about it earlier today, and I was like, holy shit.
What is this?
It trips me the shit out. This is one of the ones like Prison Planet that just trips me the shit out. Okay.
Prison Planet.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of feeling stuck. It makes me feel claustrophobic. I don't care how big Mount Everest is and all that. And how much room we got here, it makes me feel claustrophobic. So this thing about the really reality, and because we've been diving into a lot of things for determine all that shit. If it's simulation, like an organic simulation, something of that sort, consciousness really just exploring itself subjectively, then you wouldn't need to render this vast thing. All you would need to render would be perception. So really all you're doing is perceiving things or electronically duplicatable anyway. So it's the idea of a brain in a vat, right? We've all heard about this. For anybody out there that hadn't, it's the idea that you're just a brain in a vat, and there's electrodes or something plugged into you that stimulate the parts of your brain that you perceive reality from, your faculties, all of those things, and they can be choreographed like a symphony, because that's how detailed it is. They didn't spend time in the simulation building all of the shit. They spent time detailing the fuck out of how you perceive it. That's all they focused on, because that's all that matters. So You don't need a big expansive environment. You just need the person involved to think that it is. So the freaky ass thing is that maybe my reality ends right here, like right here on the outside of my hands. As far as I can Vitruvian man out. And maybe that's what Vitruvian man was. It was a message. Here you go, Doug. You're in my reality. Now, all I'm saying is the idea that Doug's here and that there's a physical thing here, all the simulation needs to render is this part of Doug. I don't need this half over here to
But I'm not rendering you, so why are you
I
here?
reach over here. Well, I'm rendering you, and then you're possibly rendering me, or none of this is real. But what I mean is maybe your reality is only here, and wind and perception of vastness and open fields and shit. It's all just perception management, like we talk about, like it's all just electrodes. It's simulated, but it can be, and that's what's terrifying about it. Anyway,
you never watched the Alfred Hitchcock show where they only showed that wherever there was watching, they would finish rendering the world.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe nothing's going on back
that's
here.
How I think. That's how I believe it works. I think that's how it's working.
You're like, wait a minute.
No,
this is new to you?
Wait a minute. No, wait. Hold on. Like like there is an objective reality, but it's not rendered until it's through the subjective perspective or perceptions. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so there's like this giant QR code of information out there, and it's not until you perceive the QR codes that might be the wall or the phone or the iPad or your microphone that it renders for your, for your subjective, we'll call it personality.
Wait a minute, I just saw that was not rendered back then.
Yeah, Doug's quick enough.
He's got to figure it out. The QR code doesn't properly.
I saw it again.
It takes a conscious observer to render something into what we would refer to as like the hard
collapsing
matter.
the wave function.
Collapsing the wave function.
Takes
right,
two to
exactly.
tango.
Now everybody thinks that it's just humans that are conscious observers, but that's not the case. It's like I think that there's there's way more, like plants are conscious observers, and obviously small insects and microorganisms and
wherever two or more are gathered, there I am.
Yeah, right. So I think that what you're saying is precisely how it's working.
But then I think of like a whole team of lizard people like around, and like people watching you having this experience, and it's a whole viewable thing, and you're out here just like, in the shower.
Yeah. But part of this whole discussion was about whether we agree that the Matrix itself, the movie, The Matrix, made sense.
Oh, this was good.
This was a good conversation. We'll do it another time.
We'll do it and we'll end it. Okay, look, because y'all got to get to Costa Rica and shit. Okay, we talked about the Matrix and we talked about
I don't agree with all the it was an inconsistent set of theories as a metaphor for what was happening in the Matrix.
Expanding reality. Yeah. So what it is that perhaps it's like sub-level. So if you think about the Matrix itself, it's a dream, a metaphoric world, but it's completely different in the sense that it's completely 100% digital, right? But then when
classical
physics, like the Atari. So whenever Neo wakes up, though, that's an organic version, right? So now he's gone from a simulated that he thought was organic to now not, and now it's a completely separate reality. But he's got a conscious foot in both. Like when I did DMT with you, I was like, I could hear you, but I'm not here. It's by location. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then the idea goes is that perhaps then he was saying, and I love the conversations. Like we go get lunch and we're driving. This is what we're talking about. He goes, it's actually inefficient for them to use the human body. Like it's just stupid.
Entropy doesn't solve. You can't have energy coming from a human body because it's negative entropy. It gets more. It takes more energy than you can extract from a human body. It's a net loss.
But the entropy thing is
you can't use it as a battery.
Yeah.
But entropy is something that we're told is a thing, and that
you can use it as a neuron.
But still, you can't extract more energy. You can't use it as an energy source. You can use it to placate a society, but that's a different thing. As a battery.
You can use it as a brain. You can use it as a neuron.
Yeah. Right. But they were placating the society is ultimately.
Well, I was thinking
of not using it as energy.
No, you're talking about the Matrix. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
So it was inconsistent in that model.
I agree.
Animatrix, yes, Mike. That is bad.
Yeah, the Animatrix, they explain why they use the humans, and it wasn't because they were great power sources. It was because they wanted to enslave them. That was a simple thing.
So then we were talking about this, and I was saying, well, we haven't ruled out the fact that perhaps that entire reality that Neo woke up in is a spaceship, and that maybe they're colonizing a distant land, and that perhaps one of the more efficient ways to put someone in cryosleep would be to utilize a little bit of their power as you do it. You could do this in sort of a farm way, but still same thing. We were talking about at the end, whenever Neo can't physically see and he's got the eyes covered, he can see the beings, but they're light, they're luminescent robots, which means Now you've gone back to the original idea, which was it was a digital state that wasn't real. He woke up into what he thought was real, an organic state, and then
he could still control it, and he could still control it, but it was more metaphysics oriented.
Right, and then he could view machines in the organic state, but they were quantum intelligence too, Kirlian photography type of it, so he could detect a soul, which meant sentient. So now there's some sort of merging of both worlds in this world at the same time. So then you ask, what's outside of that, right?
Yeah. But that's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a different kind of intelligence. That in the Matrix, it was light robots.
Oh yeah,
So they're tapping into the quantum consciousness.
Totally. So this is the conversation we had on the way back.
This is the kind of conversations we have.
But think about that. That'd be a great.
Who else can you have a conversation with like this about?
All of us.
Us.
You can't. Yeah, all of us.
Us we can, but normally we can't.
We're the new. This is the tribe. But it's one of those things where you can't rule that out. And so then you would say, as a science fiction writer, well, that may be a really cool way to travel. Like that would inspire at least an alternative to like the cryo sleep, to where they're drawing power to keep that person alive, but in a way they could tap into something that would at least give a little back. You know, they're like, well, shit, this dude's helmet. Let's suck into it.
Well, there's a whole bunch of science fiction out there that they have people writing for and collaborating with them, science writers, to write so that it makes sense, right? Even Star Trek. Yeah. Well, we need to write a whole new movie that has the new paradigm in it. And so I'm telling you, if there's somebody who has $10 million out there and wants to do the movie for source science kind of ideas, you know,
we can make a documentary.
We're going to go make a documentary, and we have a place to do that.
Yeah.
Our nonprofit for our coherent spaces.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Well, guys, I know that y'all are getting to Costa Rica, and so we want to let y'all get packed up and get rolling. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for this. This was so much fun. We're going to be doing more of these, and thank y'all, everybody. So everyone will be linked.
It's good meeting you two and hearing about who you are and how you do what you do, and so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that all.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Likewise.
Thank much you for love to you, Phi Tribe.
Yeah,
I can tell you where I bought it if you want.
Jake, thank you very much, man.
Appreciate you guys.
We got a Toby Keith concert to get to.
And Mary, it was always good to have Mary on here with her voice.
We see you back there.
Yes, love you guys.
Yes.
I love you too. It was a great voiceover this morning. It was great to wake up to.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot to come. Mary's involved. There's a lot to come with the Phi Tribe, guys. Link below YouTube for now. Check it out for sure. Jake, thank you so much for hanging out, dude.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
You had good questions tonight. I loved it.
Awesome chilling with you guys tonight. I'm hoping we can do many more. God, this is a ton of fun.
Yeah, and he helped us put the satellite to bed tonight too.
Yes, we wrapped the satellite.
So cool.
Again, picture right.
No.
All right.
No.
So thank you guys.
Subscribe to Phi Tribe on YouTube, you guys. Please. You're going to love it.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Dude's on it. All books and
you.
everything linked down below. Call Me for Ford's book. We've got that out. Deep Reality, everything linked. Guys, love y'all. Thank you.
Coherent
All
Spaces.
right. See you.
Sweet dreams.
Bye.
Take care.